do, we have
Go Caroline!
Wayne Dolcefino.
Thanks, Caroline. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here. Caroline and I met a few weeks ago. We never knew each other before, but we had an instant chemistry in terms of the way we think about things. And I don't do this very often in terms of coming to speak at candidate stuff, mostly because I always like to reserve the option of being able to investigate them later. You never want to commit, because then you're somebody's buddy and it's a lot harder to investigate them later, but I don't think that's going to happen with Caroline. I do want to mention something about the election real quick, and that is, as some of you may know, Mattress Mac and I, Mattress Mac hired my firm, which is Dolcefino Consulting. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a former TV investigative dude. I have my own company for 10 years. We investigate fraud and corruption and injustice for a living, which means we're always busy. But one of the things we've been investigating, obviously, is all the show, I call it, that was the last November election. And regardless who won or lost or how many votes, my view and Mac's view was that we want to at least clean the crap up to make it less possible to cheat. Unfortunately, we've known for years there were dead people on the voter rolls, and we just learned in the last week or two that nobody was actually checking it in Harris County. The two Yahoo election administrators we had, both extremely partisan Democrats, had no interest in looking at that. What's really great about our dead voters on the rolls is that they actually submit ballot requests for mail-in ballots. So not only are they dead, they actually can sign their names on ballot requests. While we were doing that, we picked 100 felons, because we've done a lot of investigations of the soft on crime judges that are getting everybody killed. And so we did a search of 100 of our favorite felons from our stories last year, and looked to see how many have active voter registrations, and we found 23. And that was like 30 minutes of work. Okay, I don't want to brag, but it was like 30 minutes.
But you charged for 4 hours.
That's right. That is true. We do have a minimum of 12 hours. But come on, don't sell me short here. But quite honestly, if anyone at the county gave a crap, they could find this stuff and clean these rolls. Quite honestly, in a week, they could clean it up. Okay. We called we got the county officials to take it back over, and so we called Miss Bennett, who is the person that is supposed to check the voter rolls, and we asked to talk to her, and she said she did not talk to us until after the November election, which was exactly why we wanted to talk to her, okay? Because they want to have one more election and get some dead people and some felons to vote. That's not even counting the people that don't live here anymore. And Ann Bennett, when she ran, not shockingly, said she wanted to have it where you could register to vote and be registered to vote forever after that. Okay? Whether you died, or in prison, or moved to Chicago, you'd be registered. I've also just today, if you ever go to Dolcefino Consulting, have a website, whatever, Facebook page, you'll see we just did a big investigation ongoing of the American Rescue Plan. Okay? And as a result of what we've done, the county auditor, who's also kept in the dark about the way Lena Hidalgo spends money, has called for an independent audit of the American Rescue Plan rental assistance money, which is going to charities like Baker Ripley, which is, interestingly, where the biggest election screw-ups occurred at a polling location, 782 polls, and the one that was the biggest screw-up was at, let me hear it, Baker Ripley, okay, which has received $180 million from the Hidalgo administration. Okay, what does most of that have to do with Caroline? I'll tell you. Our federal government, I know this is going to come as breaking news to you, wastes a crap load of money, okay? The American Rescue Plan, which was after the CARES Act, that wasn't enough COVID relief for a pandemic that was really not much of a pandemic anymore. They had to have another $1.9 trillion, and they call it COVID relief money, okay? Even though it has very little to do anymore with COVID relief. Now, they could spend that money for infrastructure, buildings and jails and things that would last us forever. But that's not the Democrats' play. Democrats' play is they want to be able to funnel all this money through these NGOs for all this individual assistance, for rental assistance, for COVID vaccine money, for all this kind of stuff, gift cards to people. Look, never give anybody a gift card, okay? When you're the government, rule number one, don't give gift cards. I covered a hurricane once in Claudette. I covered several hurricanes, but one I covered was, not Claudette, what's the one in New Orleans? Katrina. So I covered Katrina, and the plan after that was to give gift cards to people, okay? Those gift cards were used mostly in topless bars and liquor stores, okay? That's where your money goes. So the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't reduce inflation, that all it does is do green energy projects. And look, whether or not you care about that stuff or not, I'm not a big fan of windmills, but whether you care about that stuff or not, the reality is that's not the government's primary job. We're going to get back.
Let the market deal with it.
Let the market deal with it. We're going to get the government back to government stuff. The primary mission, health and safety, protecting people, fighting our battles for us, protecting our troops, taking care of our troops, and not much else. I know I told Caroline this, but the great thing about the federal government's bureaucracy is that when you find someone in the federal government that you can actually get some useful information from, the next time you call, they're gone. They moved them somewhere else because they were too efficient, okay? I've been called by federal agencies asking me if I still want the records I requested 4 years ago. That's how long it takes them to even respond to requests for information. We've got to start eliminating government agencies. We've got to probably reduce 75 to 90% of government agencies and government funding. We've got to get back to zero-based budgeting. I have a small company. Obviously, we charge people 4 to 12 hours for 10 minutes of work, but it's still a small business, right? And I pay all kinds of taxes, and I have $80,000 a month in payroll and all kinds of other stuff, right? So I've become extremely sensitive to government spending. But even before that, I was not an idiot. As a reporter for the last too many years in this town, okay, I have seen waste and fraud and corruption out the kazoo. It's not isolated. Just like voter fraud isn't isolated. Now, I don't believe voting machines were made in Venezuela, okay? But I do believe that rules were changed. The other team plays dirty. We need people like Caroline to go to Washington and stop it.
Woo!
Clean it up and to fight. One of the reasons I like Caroline is because I believe she is a fighter. And part of the problem with the Republicans, and I'll leave it at this, is that they're great at fighting each other, okay?
Yep.
And worrying about which Republican is squishier than another Republican. But they don't realize that the people you really need to fight are the socialists, are the people that hate America, the people that don't want to teach our kids the history that made this country great. They want to teach our kids to tear down this country. My kids, especially my son Anthony, we have city council, very conservative kid. But even once in a while I hear from him this polluted messaging you get when you've gone to a university in this country. We took our eyes off education. We did. It's one of the biggest problems we have now. We have a generation of kids that have been sort of brainwashed into thinking like guys like me, boomers, were like yahoos, right? We need people to go fight the battle. The other side plays dirty. they will call it the Let's Care About Children Act. And then they will shove through $900 million full of through it. The Inflation Reduction Act has a lot more to do with green energy than inflation. That's what they do in Washington. They call things nice names, so you'll say, oh, well, I'll vote for that, because that sounds fine. It's all a ruse. We got to get back to starting from square one. I believe Caroline will be one of those people. And one of my friends, I live in Braeswood, whatever it's called over there, Braeswood Place. We're still in Braeswood. One of my friends said, I told him I was coming to speak. He said, well, you know, Lizzie Fletcher isn't that bad of a Democrat. So he told me, she's not that bad.
Not that bad.
Okay?
Democrat.
Lizzie Fletcher is not that bad of a Democrat, right? Which already gets you over here. But she, look at what she's supported. Go online. Don't trust me. Go online and look how she's voted. Okay? On abortion, on gun control. You want gun control? You take everybody who's a felon and gets busted with a weapon and put him in prison without any questions. That's gun control. Okay? Because they're the ones that are going to kill people. Not normal law-abiding gun folks. Okay? Look at every issue. The Inflation Reduction Act. This COVID ridiculous nonsense we're doing now. She's on the wrong side of all these issues. That's why you need to fight for Caroline. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Woo!